Hello everyone and welcome back to the 1885 On Tour series with myself, Callum. We've got Charlie here as well, and we've actually got someone new today who's recently joined the channel. And we've got Jordan. First of all, before I get into introducing the boys, we are near enough at 1,000 subscribers. So if you're liking the content that we're doing at the moment, please make sure to like, subscribe and comment down below on the video. There's a giveaway that we're doing at the 1885 show when we get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you could please, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. And there's much more content that we're bringing out, both Millwall and England. So please like, subscribe and comment. Right, so let's go. Let's start with Jordan first, because we know Charlie. We know Charlie's voice anyway. Jordan, welcome to the show, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm all good. Just give us a little bit of insight into yourself in general so that the viewers know.
Yeah, of course. So I'm a third generation Millwall fan. Grandfather used to go to those games back at the old den. It's just been passed down through the family, my entire family in Millwall. So I didn't really have much choice in the matter, really. But I've been going to games since I was knee high, really, and having the opportunity to go to those games and share those memories with my family is an experience I'll never forget. And it's a club like no other, isn't it? I can never see me ever support another club. Definitely not. And I think we could all say the same.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And England games, have you been watching it? What's your opinions overall so far? We'll get into obviously the Ghana game, but just give us your thoughts overall, how you think England have done.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Tuchel announced the squad, there were questions that were up in the air. Could Gibbs White have been brought into the squad? Why is Jordan Henderson been picked? First game against Croatia, strong showing. I think we were defensively weak in places, and then not to sort of talk too much about the Ghana game, but it was a bit of a reality check for the boys. You know, you have a nice win against a decent team like Croatia, and then get thrown up against Ghana. And as I say, it was a reality check for the boys. You just need to go again against Panama and hopefully restructure, recompose, and look forward to the knockouts, so long as the Panama result goes according to plan.
Absolutely, yeah. And we can't forget about you, Char. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Fuming after last night in a way, but yeah, I'm all good, mate. This
Good,
heat is
mate.
unbearable, though, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, the summer is currently here at the minute. The weather's been very, very hot at the moment, so we're all in the same boat, aren't we, boys? But right, let's get into it. So let's get into the match stats first of all. So from last night's game, obviously doing a cool down from the England versus Ghana game. England had 79% possession. Ghana had 21%. England had 19 shots to Ghana's 2 shots, which is probably an outrageous shout. I can't believe how many shots we had when I looked at it. 3 of them shots from England were on target. Ghana had 1, and we had 9 corners and Ghana had 2. So it looks pretty much all England, but the result didn't show for it. So Charlie, let's start off with you. Jordan's obviously already mentioned about how he's thought England have gone. How do you think we did last night? Obviously we watched it together, didn't we? So just give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I think you've got to look at it as a whole value. I think first off, you've got to hold your hands up and say a bit of respect for Ghana. You know, their game plan for the actual game was perfect. I think it's quite similar to the Arsenal one in terms of in the Champions League final. I think you can't really knock it. You know, if they did go toe to toe for us in terms of like trying to find space and attack, I do think we would have picked them apart, and you know, obviously we would have beat them. And I think the same thing for what Arsenal did in the Champions League. Just unfortunately for Ghana, they never managed to get that early goal. And to be fair, I think if you look at chances throughout the game, outside the Harry Kane chance at the end, I think you know Ghana could probably walk away actually feeling like they were unlucky to not come away with a win there last night. There was definitely a penalty from Konza, some questionable moments obviously from Pickford as well. Eventually, obviously, looking back at it, I do think it's probably a foul on Pickford more than anything else. But there's definitely moments for a Ghana fan and definitely to be proud for, first of all. But from an England point of view, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think if the group would have been the other way around and we'd had beat Panama and then drew to Ghana and needing to go and win that against Croatia, I think it's a whole different matter. But, you know, you've got the Croatia game out of the way. You obviously got a draw against Ghana, which, to be fair, looking back at it, Cal, in our first video, I did say Ghana were going to be the toughest ones, and then it's probably going to be a a full rotation for the Panama game, and the likes of Henderson and Rodgers and them lot coming in and probably getting the job done, and we'll go through his top anyway. And by this time Sunday morning, we'll be singing "It's Coming Home Again."
Yeah, I thought that Ghana played very well. I thought we just didn't use our chances well enough throughout the game. I thought that attacking wise, I thought we were poor. I didn't think we created enough We created chances, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we were clinical in the positions we got. I mean, the first half, Noni Madueke had numerous chances to take the ball down the wing. Same with probably Gordon as well. You could probably say that he could have done a little bit better on the ball. But our wingers just were playing it back to the midfielders and just going back around us. Sort of just kept the ball and didn't really do much with it. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it was very disappointing last night. I thought that we didn't show that we wanted to win the game in some sort of sense, really. But Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you, really. I think the biggest frustration for me last night was when we were attacking. We've got two good wingers who can be direct when needs be, beginning to run our player, stopping, and then looking for a backwards pass. Now, personally, for me, with my wingers, I like to see attackers take on a player, try and beat him. I don't care if they get tackled, because 1 in 10 of those chances, he'll get past their defender and put a killer ball in. So that was one of the big frustrations from me. The credit where it's due, Sanaya and Mensah, the Ghana fullbacks, were very, very good. Completely rendered Gordon obsolete. And if I'm Barcelona at this point, I'd be looking for a receipt potentially. I think he's been quite poor in both the games he's played for England so far. The big thing for me was we were just slow tactically and strategically. I think the last 10 minutes when we had Rashford on the pitch, I think really just changed the game. We were attacking a lot more. There was a lot more chances being created. And I think there was just more teeth to us. We didn't look dangerous, typically, because Ghana had that low block. They were sitting back. They were parking the bus and trying to hit us on the counter. And we saw against Croatia, that was one of our weaknesses, was when Croatia went into transition, into attack, they were carving us up, and that's how they got their 2 goals. And I think, look, at the end of the day, we've walked away with a point. It's a good point. It solidifies us into the qualifiers, into the knockout rounds. But there were frustrations there, of course. I think we were toothless, and I think alongside all of that as well, there were some players who just went missing. And when you're on the biggest stage of them all, you can't go missing like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. The one thing I wanted to speak about mainly, and Charlie, I'll come to you on this, was the substitutions that Tuchel made during the game. I thought that he made some risky substitutions probably at the wrong times, maybe. I think that, looking at the first half, he probably should have changed it bang on half-time when the players came back out. And I think I said that to you already, but I think that he should have made it straight away at half-time to give us that build-in block to then go on and attack even more and put pressure on Ghana. I don't feel like he made that call very late. I think I remember him bringing players on at like the 80th minute when Eze and Riley came on and Rashford came on, Saka came on. You should be doing that at half-time. I don't know why he didn't make a change at half-time for them players, because like Jordan, you just said that I think that Gordon and Noni Madueke were struggling on the wing. They weren't creating nothing, were they? So, Charles, what do you think about the substitutions that Tuchel made?
Yeah, I think it's hard to look at those wings. I mean, we said it in the first video again that Noni's definitely won a raffle to get on that ticket. I don't know how he's there on the pitch in the first place, but with Gordon, I think you look at Gordon's kind of skill, and Gordon's game isn't the same as Rodgers, a Cole Palmer, a Foden. He doesn't want the ball to dribble past 2-3 players, especially not in the situations that we had last night. And Gordon wants the space in behind. He wants to run off the last defender. He wants to run into space. And when Ghana are defending the way they did, it definitely wasn't a game for a Gordon. But that comes down to Tuchel's man management and picking the lineup in the first place. And then, as you said, Jordan, Rashford and Saka coming on the wings, you could tell the quality just went up by 10, 15 max. They were trying to take them inside, outside. The overlap runs were coming. I think it also comes down to the fact of, we obviously praised Tuchel in the first game for his man management and his changes. But I think if you look at the game as a whole, I think you're looking at, we're overloaded in that midfield with no creativity. You've got no wit at all. You've taken off Jed Spence and brought on O'Reilly, who's then going to go and tuck into midfield again, who's more of an insider. You've still left on Elliott and Rice. You've taken off Jude Bellingham. I would have liked to him have taken off an Elliott or a Rice tell one of them to sit and bring on a Rodgers and have both Jude and Rodgers sitting behind and trying to link up with Kane, having Saka and Rashford pushing really wide, and then you've got O'Reilly to come and tuck into midfield, and I just think overall, I mean, it's easy to look back at it and say, you know, this is what you should have done, but if Kane scores and we win 1-0, I don't think we're saying any of these things. But overall, I think obviously you just look at those little tweaks, but at the end of the day, I think it is a difficult one, and the subs did definitely come too late. I just feel like we lost all the wits that we had.
Yeah, I think you're bang on there. I think that if he probably made them substitutions earlier, I do feel like we had the attacking capabilities to go and score. And we saw that we talk about Harry Kane missing sitters. I mean, he probably missed a sitter really late on. Jordan, what was your take on, obviously, O'Reilly hit the bar first. That's probably the main chance that we probably had in the game to win it. O'Reilly hit the bar and then Kane missed an absolute sitter, didn't he? Could you believe it when he missed it?
Look, every striker has their howlers. It's the ability to dust yourself off and go again. And we know Kane's world class. We know he can score goals for fun. He didn't have many chances in the game, and the one chance he had, he missed. If he had a couple more chances, we know more than likely he would have at least got one in the back of the net. Strikers get games like that, and I think it was down to primarily the service he was getting, and also the fact that we weren't being clinical enough and looking for those sort of through balls into our attacking option to try and split the defence. And as I say, it's incredibly hard to do that when you are playing a team who do have 11 men behind the ball. But not to sound sort of extreme here, but for me at least, in that last 10 minutes or so, when we had Rashford on, bar maybe two exceptions, that's the strongest England team. I think Tuchel really needs to try and figure out what is the strongest side to play. Because if we go up against a France or a Spain or any team of a higher quality, I think we're really going to struggle unless we start to figure out who is the best starting 11. For me, the likes of Spence, the likes of Gordon, the likes of Madueke, they're options off the bench, definitely. But Rashford, for instance, Saka, O'Reilly, they're the people who I want to see in the starting 11 rather than coming off the bench to try to make an impact. I want to see England getting stuck in from as soon as the whistle's blown rather than waiting until the final 30 or 20, or in Rashford's case, 10 minutes to try and make a positive impact. I know Saka's still nursing a bit of an injury, so there's the exception there, certainly. But for me, at least, that last 10, 15 minutes, I think we were a lot more clinical. We had a bit of a buzz to us. Saka's crossing, that O'Reilly hit the bar with Rashford sort of running at the fullback and beating him, and then sticking those sort of drilled crosses in. We looked a lot more dangerous than we did in the 70 minutes we played up until that point. And just the final thing I wanted to say on that point, I think Anderson and Rice. I think Rice had a good game. He tends to have a decent game, and I think Anderson as well shows his quality at times. So for me, at least, that's sort of what I said in the last 10 minutes or so. The best starting 11. Bellingham and Anderson were probably the only ones who I would start if I was starting that dream 11 for England. Gordon, Spence, Madueke certainly wouldn't be in there. There's lessons learned, as you say, and what's been previously said before. If Kane did finish that chance, or if O'Reilly did get that header on target, just clip the underside of the post and cross the line, we wouldn't be talking about this. But there's lessons to be learned. Tuchels is a good manager. He'll figure things out, I'm sure. But it's just frustrating when we have so much quality and a lot of it is sitting on the bench until the last sort of throw of the dice.
Yeah, 100%. Right. Anyway, let's get into the player ratings. Now, we did this for the Croatia game, and I thought we'd do it again. So I'm going to just name you boys the starting 11 and then just give me a rating out of 10 how you thought they played overall in the game last night. So let's go Pickford first. Charlie?
I think standard Pickford performance, and I think he put a foot wrong realistically. I'm going to give him a 7.
Jordan?
I'd have to give Pickford, I'd give him a 6. There were a couple of sort of split-second decisions he made that could have gone wrong with a different referee or a different sort of VAR system. And ultimately, I think solid performance. Didn't have too much to do besides those chances.
Yeah, I'd go a 6.5 for Pickford. I think the one thing for me which had my heart in my mouth for a little bit was when he came out for that ball in the second half. Do you remember when he knocked down that attacker for Ghana? that frightened the life out of me. I mean, Charlie, we said that how lucky was he not if he it probably would have been a card if he wasn't offside. So yeah, he was. He always plays risky, Pickford, to me. He's a good goalkeeper, but sometimes he puts you on the edge of your seat, doesn't he, when you're watching? But yeah, anyway, right, let's go into Reece James. I'll start this off. I think he was a solid 7 last night. I thought James was really good. Attacking wise, he helped out. I put some, I'd say 50-50 balls in. I feel like the crosses from especially the wingers and fullbacks they didn't hit the first men. So, but defensively he was solid. So I'm going to give him a 7. Jordan?
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to say the same. The balls he did put in, I think, were sort of similar to that of Madueke and Gordon at times. They did sort of struggle to get past the first man, and there's nothing more frustrating than that. But at the same time, he always puts in a good shift, James. It's just his injury proneness that always makes me raise an eyebrow. But as I say, I'd give him a 7. He had a decent enough game.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I'd go for a 7 as well. I definitely think it's probably one of those things of like, you're looking back at it thinking, if only we had a Trent, because Trent would have put in, with the crossing chances that he would have put in 3-4 balls definitely for Kane to get ahead on it. But I think James overall, he didn't put a foot wrong. I think he was forced a lot to put balls in again by Madueke, kind of laying it back to him and recycling it. But yeah, I think he had a decent game. I'll go for a 7.
Nice. Right, Ezri Konsa next. I'm going to go with a 7. I think again he was decent. I think that if he builds that partnership with Mark Gahey, I think that them two are probably our now down starters for each of the next couple of games. So I'm going to give him a solid 7. What do you boys think? Charlie, you go first on this one.
Yeah, I think both centre backs. To be fair, obviously I know we're talking about Konsa, but I think both centre backs probably about a 7 between them. I don't think Ghana gave us much of a threat for them to deal with. I think mainly when we obviously pushed forward in the last kind of 15, that they obviously got those couple chances in behind. But I think that was just from us overextending rather than them both kind of having a bit of a mad 10 minutes. And yeah, I think both centre backs will come away with about a 7.
Jordan, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'd say very similar. I mean, there was that one sort of heart in mouth moment with Konsa, but the more he plays alongside Gay, I think the better the chemistry, the better the understanding of how to defend that back line, and the more synergy that they'll build up with one another. So yeah, I think 7. The defence didn't do too much wrong.
Yeah, and I'll probably give Jed Spence a 7 as well, because I think for his first game in the World Cup, I thought he did a very good job on that left back. I don't really tend to like right-footed left backs, but I thought he did a very good job dealing with Inaki Williams. What do you boys think on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, just an average game, a 7. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Again, I don't think it's hard because we did have the majority of the ball, and it was a lot of just recycling. So there wasn't really much for him to do. I would have, again, like you said, with the right foot and left foot, there's not someone that can just swing a ball in. But yeah, I don't think you put a foot wrong.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I think, look, do I think there's better options at left back than Spence? Yes. Do I understand the need to rotate the side a little bit? Yes, and try out different things. I think that the link-up play between Spence and Gordon just wasn't there, like when you compare to O'Reilly and Rashford. So yeah, as I say, I'd give Spence probably a 7 as well, primarily because what he did do, he done well. But I just want to see more from the left flank.
Yeah, I think it's quite difficult because, I mean, we're talking about left backs. I mean, we spoke about it in the first show that we did, and some players are probably watching this, like, the Lewis Halls of the world, sitting there at home watching them. You probably think he's probably kicking himself in, because you watch what he did in the Prem. I know obviously Newcastle didn't do very well, but you look at Spence and O'Reilly, they haven't really shone to the highest standard so far in the 2 games that they played, I don't think. So yeah, that's an interesting one to think about. I'm going to do both Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice. I think Elliot Anderson was a 7.5 for me. I think he had a solid game. Again, he wins fouls and commits fouls, yes, but I think that overall he is a very solid defensive midfielder. I think he's been really good. I think he'll get better and better as the tournament goes on. And Declan Rice was an 8 for me. I think he was by far probably our best player on the night. Dealt with everything really. I know he got carded, which was a bit cynical. I didn't think it was a bit of harsh yellow card really, but I thought he was by far one of our best players last night. I just thought that he was, again, he just brings that confidence and that control in the midfield. So for me, it'd be an 8. What do you think, Char?
Yeah, I've got to agree. I think out of the two, I think Anderson probably had a slightly less of an impactful game. I'd definitely put him as I think a 7 is a base mark for pretty much everyone outside of the wingers in this lineup. But yeah, I think Declan Rice, given that freedom to go forward, I would have liked to seen him, being in the box more towards the end with his height and even towards on the edge of the box. I think he could have struck it like he did in the first half, and he just didn't end up in those positions. But I'd go 7.5. I think he didn't really do much more than Elliot Anderson, if I'm honest, but he definitely edged it in terms of the two. Obviously, I don't know what you think, Jordan.
Yeah, I think, look, Rice to me is that midfield general that England have needed for quite a while. He's got quality both in defence and in attack. My only criticism of Rice for the game yesterday was the set pieces. Again, for me, at least, maybe it's years and years of watching Coops and whatnot, but seeing set pieces not be able to clear the first man, I think there's nothing more frustrating than that. All the build up and excitement of a set piece, and then it just sort of flounders away. But as I say, you get days like that. And it was the same for James, as I mentioned. Anderson, I think, again, real engine in midfield, can pick up the balls, can read the game well, and complements Rice and allows Rice to be a bit more creative. So I think those two have a really good partnership there. And if the partnership that those two have could be mirrored just behind them with Konza and Gay, then I think we've got a really strong spine to the team.
Yeah, that was one of my absolute angers from last night. All the set pieces that we had in that game didn't beat the first man. And that is, I don't understand it. I mean, a professional footballer not being able to put a cross in at least above the first man is unheard of for me. So yeah, that was a really big one. Right, Char, out the front, I'm going to change this one up a little bit. Out the front four, so you said the wingers were, so are we going to sit?
Not even that. I'd put them down as a 4, if I'm honest with you.
Four, yeah?
They both of them were absolute poor. I don't even want to see Madueke start or even come on at any point during this World Cup. I'd much rather us use an Eze, a Rodgers, or someone like that. Or even play Watkins wide up. I think he's more effective than what Noni is, because Noni is literally just a headless chicken. And then he really does remind me of Amaku. He does everything right up until that last kind of final third, and it's so frustrating because he's got bad to pace. He can take it on the outside. You've seen it for Arsenal. He kind of jinks past people and somehow keeps the ball, and then you watch it for England, just do it. And then, to be fair, Saka does it at times as well with England. He's going to cut back on that left, and you just want him to take him on the outside. But at least with Saka, he puts up numbers and obviously gives you product. But with Madueke, you don't get that. And again, with Gordon, the first game I let him off because he obviously pressed really well from the front, and I didn't think he'd put a foot wrong in the first game. But there's no excuses for him in this game apart from the fact of, we didn't actually probably pick the right person for the game, and that's the only kind of leeway I can give him for this game. But yeah, both of them are going to take a 4 for me.
Jordan, would you agree it's a 4 for both of them?
I'd probably give Madueke a 5. And I'd give Gordon a 4. I think Madueke, he's such a frustrating player. As you say, very similar to the likes of Anamaku. Quick, pacey, but not direct enough for me. I like to see, as I said, players take on a player, feed them, and then get a whip across him, for instance. And we just didn't really get to see that from Madueke. He did it once or twice, which I credit him for, and that's why I'm not giving him a 4, for instance. But at the same time, this is England we're talking about. There are better options on the bench. There are better options that have been left at home. And then same with Gordon. Look, when you're playing a team who are sitting back, Gordon's not the right pick. I'm not putting all the blame on Gordon here. I do think there is a tactical question there as well about picking Gordon in a game like this. But for me, didn't do enough. The one chance he did have was straight into the keeper's hands. And I think, again, that's frustrating. At least test the keeper. Because it was a bit of a snapshot. It was bouncing around in the box or just outside of it. He took the shot on straight into the hands of Asari. And I think, off the top of my head, that's one of the 3 clear chances or good chances we had. And to see it, as I say, nestled into the hands of the Ghanaian goalkeeper, I think is disappointing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought the wingers were poor last night. I didn't really see no intent from them attacking wise to go and beat a man, which in an England team you'd probably want. Let's go into, Charlie, your favourite footballer, Jude Bellingham. You're a lover of Jude Bellingham, as we all know from the videos. How do you think he did last night?
It's going to be a tough one for us to review this. I think we know the things that Jude is capable of, and to be fair, again, he does seem to be the only one that seems to be trying things. And you did think last night in that first half, if anything was going to come from anywhere, it was going to be from Jude. And he tried to pick up the ball on a half turn. He just seems to be running into like 8 Ghana players every time. Yeah, I think I was looking back at it today and just kept stopping and freezing at parts. And they did have 11 players behind the ball at all times. So when you are fizzing it into Jude, you're asking him to beat a back 4 and a back 2 CDMs at the same time. So it's a difficult one. I do feel sorry for him. He got man of the match. I think that kind of shows the PR at least side of thing for Jude. And I absolutely love the way he carries himself. I think even him saying after the game, he said, I didn't deserve man of the match. It should have been one of the Ghana players for the defensive work they did. And as much as he gets all the arrogant side of things and everyone loves to pick him apart, I think he knows himself. He's his harshest critic and he's also his biggest supporter at the same time. And yeah, he didn't have a bad game. He just couldn't affect the game, and I don't think anyone way could in a position that he was in. To be honest, I'd give him an 8 because he was the only one that seemed to be trying.
Jordan, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably give Bellingham a 7.5. I think, again, as has been said, I like his attitude. I think he's got his head screwed on, and he's professional enough to admit when the game's been tough. Within the 90 minutes or so, I think there were things that did frustrate me with Bellingham. But again, I don't think that's down to Bellingham himself. We know he's got the quality. We know he's got the capability sort of in the final third to pick out that killer ball, to take on a player, to take a shot from distance, to dribble past a player and then take a shot in the box or something like that. But again, when you're up against 11, when you're playing a team who's got 11 men behind the ball, it's incredibly tough to pick out the space, to try and maneuver into a decent amount of space. And I just think the likes of Thomas Partey and Apoku as well were able to know the threat that Bellingham could have posed. And I think that's again mirrored with the likes of our number 9.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I think Bellingham. I mean, whatever we say, I think that with 11 men behind the ball, I think that our attackers were frustrated last night. They didn't really get a sniff, and when we were on the attack, we just didn't have any answers for their defence, and that's just it. Harry Kane, I thought was a 6. I didn't think that he just wasn't on point. How did you think he done last night, Harry Kane?
Yeah, again, I think it's the same as Bellingham. I think Kane is someone. Again, we know we know his strengths. He's not going to get in behind. He's not going to, drag players around. That's not what Harry Kane does. Harry Kane is someone that is incredible on the ball, and he can dictate play. We saw it against Croatia. He at one point was playing centre back, trying to play a quarterback role in a football game, and I think that's actually something I noticed yesterday in the game. He didn't step in and drop deep like he would normally, and I would love to have seen us put up a Watkins or a Tony next to him. Again, take off a Rice and Elliott and play up just a target man and let Kane do that kind of roaming and let him drag out a few players out of position. But we never afforded him that time and space to do so. And you're looking at Harry Kane, he's missed our biggest chance, and we're all going to look back at it the same way as when he missed that penalty against France. He was the scapegoat again, even though he scored in that game. And it's easy to look back at it, but we can't always rely on Harry Kane, and I feel like as a nation we are doing that every single time. And again, like I don't think we played to his strengths yesterday. I don't think we even tried to aid his strengths yesterday at all. It's very similar to when we play Ivanovic up front, that we just pump it long, expecting him to do anything with it. It's not his game at all. He wants it to feet. He wants to get in and lay it wide and be that late runner and be in the right place at the right time. But as Jordan said as well, when you've got 11 players parking the bus behind the ball, it's hard to even get in on the chances that we were putting in. And then when we did get any chances to put the ball in, the crosses that were coming in just weren't good enough. But I don't think we're going to be too harsh on Kane. I think also with the chance that he did miss, that big chance, I think it also comes from the fact of every single time in the game he got the ball, he was surrounded by Ghanaians. And I don't know whether that played a part in his mind of when that ball dropped to him, he probably thought, I have to hit this straight away because, in that whole game, every time he's getting surrounded by him. So he's probably struck here thinking, got to get away early. He's leaning back. He's obviously skied it. There's no excuse. I'm not trying to make an excuse for him, but, you can probably think about probably the best finisher in the world at the moment. That's probably where he was thinking, to be fair. But I'll give Kane a 6. I don't think he was terrible. I just don't think we we kind of got him into the game.
Jordan?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You stole the point I was going to make about perhaps dropping him back and sticking a Tony or Watkins on. To me, that would have made a bit more sense, because if anyone can pick out a 20, 30-yard pass and really hit the nail on the head with it, for me at least, it's Harry Kane. He can drop back. He can put those killer balls in. And when you've got like the likes of a Rashford, for instance, on the left, or a Saka on the right, those through balls into space behind the defence, I think really could have been exploited, and we just didn't really go about doing that. As has been alluded to, England cannot be the Harry Kane show. You know, Harry Kane doesn't have many years left in him. Will it be at the next World Cup? There's a question mark there. And can we rely and depend on Harry Kane every single match to lead England into victory? We can't. It wouldn't be healthy for us to do that. Otherwise, we'd end up with a Portugal mindset, for instance. And you know, there's question marks there as well. So I think we need to look at the other talent that England has. We have some very, very good players. I don't know if it's you know, the media focus and the whole sort of banging of the drums on fans about how great Harry Kane is that can get into players' heads. We've seen it in the past with England. But was he used enough last night? No. Is that down to the creativity of the 11? Yes, to an extent. I think Harry Kane could have got the ball a lot more. Did Tuchel say we want to stay up top and don't drop back? We don't know. But certainly for me, if I was England manager, which is a very, very long shot, of course, I would like to have seen him at least in the last 20 minutes drop back a bit and having a Tony or Watkins, someone who could potentially run at the players, feed them for speed, and maybe exploit some of the spaces, because that's where Ghana were probably the most dangerous, was on that counter attack. And if you can try and counter the Ghanaian counter, that's where we tended to have some good opportunities. But sadly, as I say, we didn't capitalise on that.
Right, well, moving on to our last port, Jordan. I think we're going to go on to a little quiz. And I think between me and you, let's try and name the top 5 goal scorers we've had for England in the World Cup. So that's across, obviously, the top 5 in general. And I'm sure Callum, when he comes back, will be able to tell us who the top 5 is. I think pretty much easiest stuff. I'll let you go first. But between the two of us, we could probably get.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, who springs to mind first? It's Gary Lineker and Kane, who I think are tied at the moment for the all-time top goal scorer.
Yeah, so that's at least 2 out of 5.
I want to say Hurst as well is up there to some extent. I don't know if he makes the top 5. I presume he would. So Jeff Hurst is another one that comes to the front of my mind. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, I think you're definitely up there. I'd like to think Steven Gerrard. I think just on the top of my head, I think in tournament football, I remember Gerrard from getting a lot of goals. I don't obviously know the exact number, but I definitely think he was definitely the more of a goal scorer midfielder than Lampard was for England. But again, let's check back in with Callum. So Callum, we've gone for Lineker, Kane, Hurst. Those are the 3 that we've definitely locked in.
Yeah, you got the top. You got the top 3. So you got Gary Lineker and Harry Kane on 10, and then you got Jeff Hurst on 5, and then you got 2
Is
more.
Steven Gerrard in there?
Nope.
How about Owen? Because he kicks around for a long time.
Number 4. Michael Owen. So that's correct. Yeah. Michael Owen's number 4 with 4 goals, and there's another someone that is on 4 goals.
Is it David Beckham?
No, it's not David Beckham. Very, very well known football player. Played for United. Give you a little clue.
Rooney?
No, not Rooney. I go back into the late or the 1900s era. Do you want me to give it to you?
It's got to be either York or Cole.
Do you want me to give it to you?
Yeah, go on.
It was Sir Bobby Charlton.
Yeah,
Sir Bobby Charlton on 4 goals.
That makes sense now.
Yeah. Just quickly, do you think Harry Kane will lead that list by the end of the World Cup?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
How many goals
I don't think personally he'll play against Panama, but I definitely think, knockout football, he's bound to get at least 1. So
yeah. Right. Okay. Right, boys, been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you both. Let's just hope that the Panama game's even better than the Ghana game. But no, Jordan, thank you for your first time. Lovely, pleasure as always. guys,
Cheers,
thank
mate.
you for watching the video. If you've liked the video, please comment down below on how you thought the players played, how you thought the team played, any like player ratings you want to give us, or any other comments you think about England for the next game going forward in the tournament. Please put it in the comments down below, and please like, please share, please comment, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.